Hello, everyone. We're looking at today at IAL Economics paper, Unit 1. We're looking at writing a 14 marker. So remember that the paper is going to be 1 hour, 45 minutes. So you have 105 minutes and there are 8 marks in total. So roughly what that means is that you have 1.25 minutes per mark. So if you're doing a 14 marker, you want to give yourself at best 18 minutes in order to write this. So again, I'm recommending a scientific approach to writing these essays in the sense of we know that we have 18 minutes. Our structure will be we want two main points that we're going to evaluate. So it will be firstly our main point, and then we develop that main point, and then secondly, and then we develop that main point, and then we integrate our analysis. So firstly, however, secondly, however, and then job done. So in terms of the development, I'm going to recommend a particular approach. So we state the points. So firstly, then we go to application, we find an example, in this case from the extract, and then we explain our point, and then we have a concluding link, and then we're going to evaluation, and then we'll repeat for the second point. So here the question is, with reference to extract C, discuss the benefits of subsidies paid to rice growers and illustrate your answer with an appropriate diagram. So again, you want to make sure that you're talking about the benefits of subsidies, and then that you're drawing an appropriate diagram. So you must know your subsidy diagram. And then, of course, you must link back to extract C. When you're linking back to extract C, you want to say, as seen in extract C, or you want to put quotation marks to show that you're pulling directly from extract C. So here, extract C, Indian government intervention in the market for rice. So the rice sector contributes 51.58 billion to the Indian economy. India exports rice to 150 countries. So the government supports rice growers by providing subsidies. These subsidies are used by farmers to invest in capital goods and to purchase fertilizer and water used in production. This can lead to overfarming that results in lower quality rice crops. In 2021, the Indian government spent 6.9 billion on subsidizing rice production. In 2022, the government decided to reduce expenditure on these subsidies. However, this caused mass protests from farmers that led to the government increasing these subsidies to their previous levels. All right, so we want to discuss the benefits paid to the rice farmers. So this would be how I would structure my first point. So again, as I said, we're going to have firstly, then for example, this means that, and therefore. So firstly, one benefit of subsidies paid to rice growers is that they enable increased rice production and consumption. So subsidies make it possible to increase the equilibrium output. And we're going to see that in the subsidy diagram. Do make sure you know the subsidy diagram. So this is lifted directly from the mark scheme. So for example, extract C states that the Indian government provides subsidies to rice farmers to purchase fertilizer, water, and capital goods, with 6.9 billion spent on these subsidies in 2021. So notice what I've done here. I put my application immediately after the point, and I've directly referenced extract C as required by the question. So let's explain now how the imposition or the application of a subsidy leads to the benefits enjoyed by both producers and consumers. So this means that the subsidy lowers the cost of production borne by the producers, causing the supply curve to shift rightward from S to S1 in the subsidy diagram. All right. Do note that a subsidy doesn't lower the cost of production. It just lowers the cost of production borne by the producer. So you're shifting some of the burden to the taxpayer. As shown in the diagram, this leads to a fall in the market price from PE to P1, and an increase in quantity produced and consumed from QE to Q1. So the equilibrium market price will fall, and the equilibrium quantity will rise. So notice the please note the box GEFPE is the benefit to the producer from the subsidy, and PEFCP1 is the benefit to the consumer from the subsidy. Continuing, the lower price makes rice more affordable for consumers, while higher output improves food security, which is important given that rice is a staple good. All right. So we have benefit to consumer, benefit to producer in the form of high output of rice production. And then now our concluding link, therefore, subsidies increase rice production and consumption by lowering prices and encouraging greater supply, improving allocative efficiency in the rice market. So the government intervenes into the rice market in order to move the equilibrium output to the socially optimal level, therefore improving allocative efficiency in the rice market. All right, so let's now move on to our evaluation. So again, straight away, we're going to identify the main criticism of our analysis. We're going to state that in the thesis statement of the evaluation. Then we're going to do an application, find an example that illustrates a point. Then we're going to do our chains of analysis, and then our concluding link. So, however, the effectiveness of subsidies in increasing rice production and consumption depends upon its size and the sustainability of the subsidy. So this is so the impact of the subsidy will be determined by how much the government is actually providing and how long the government can do this. So, for example, in Extract C, when it shows that when the Indian government attempted to reduce the subsidy spending in 2022, the farmers protested and the subsidies were reinstated. So we see here, it has to be the case that providing a subsidy does not put a strain on the financial health of the economy and financial health of government. So it can't be the case that public finances are strained because of subsidy provision, and it must be sustainable for the government over an extended period of time for this to work. This means that producers may become reliant on subsidies to remain profitable, meaning that if the subsidy were removed, supply could shift back from S1 to S, causing prices to rise and output to fall sharply. This reduces long-run efficiency and places a significant opportunity cost on the government. So this is always a criticism of subsidies, the opportunity cost on public finances, as funds used for the subsidy cannot be spent on healthcare or education. And now our link back. Therefore, while the subsidy increases output in the short run, its long-run benefit depends upon whether it can be maintained without creating dependency or excessive government expenditure, i.e., worsening the health of public finances. So what is the second benefit now of subsidies? So our argument is that it increases producer revenue and therefore helps to support employment in the rice sector. So for example, Extract C states that rice contributes 51.58 billion to the Indian economy and that India exports rice to 150 countries. This means that although consumers pay a lower price, P1, producers receive a higher effective price per unit, shown in the diagram by the vertical distance between P1 and PE, funded by the government subsidy. So this increases producer revenue, represented by the subsidy rectangle, which is the government expenditure. So the subsidy rectangle will be GECP1. And continuing the sentence, and encouraging firms to increase output from QE to Q1. So let me just make sure the visual for the subsidy rectangle that is clear. So this will be our subsidy rectangle right here. And remember now that the top half of the subsidy rectangle represents the benefit to the producer, and the bottom half is the benefit to the consumer. So If we continue, so what we're going to have is that since the rice growers are producing more rice, then you're going to have the right demand for labor kicking in. So in order to produce more rice, you're going to need more workers. So the firms are going to hire more workers so that they have more money coming in from government to enable them to do so. So higher output requires more labor, increasing employment and increasing income in rural areas. So consequently, subsidies can support economic growth and job creation by increasing production and stabilizing producer incomes in the rice sector. Our final evaluation point, so notice the structure. We have our KAA, knowledge application analysis, and then we have our evaluation. However, the employment and revenue benefits of subsidies may be limited if they lead to inefficient or environmentally damaging production. So, for example, Extract C notes that subsidies encourage increased use of fertilizer and water, which can result in over-farming and lower quality rice crops. This means that while output increases in the short run from QE to Q1, long-run productivity may fall as land becomes less fertile, reducing future supply and employment. In addition, government spending on the subsidy, shown by the shaded subsidy area in the diagram, represents a significant fiscal cost, which may be unsustainable over time. And our concluding link, therefore, low subsidies raise producer revenue and employment initially. Their long-term benefits depend on whether production remains efficient and environmentally sustainable. So we give context to the benefits of the application of subsidy, that it depends upon whether or not sustainable practices, farming practices are being employed by farmers. So I hope that this has been helpful. So we will look at recommended structure for a range of different exam questions and marks associated with different exam questions, and then so stay tuned to the next few videos.